A question that often comes up is, how do I not be so nervous and forced? How do I talk to a very powerful, influential guy that can really help me out? How do I build a connection with that person? Or let's say there's a stunningly beautiful woman, a 10, and you want to talk to her and you don't want to mess up. You don't want to, look like a fool. How do you do that? Because people ask me quite often, like, do you ever get nervous talking to women? Do you get nervous talking to powerful people, rich people? And I've been in this situation quite a lot from both sides of this equation. So on the one hand, especially at the start of my career, oftentimes I was the guy that was talking to someone rich, powerful, influential that can really move my career forward. And now that I've started to, build some wealth, build some influence, have momentum on my side, now I'm seeing the other side of this whole thing where you have people approaching you to try to make a connection with you, which is also interesting. So let me give you some tips on handling this particular situation so that you come across as smooth and confident and competent in any social situation, especially when there's high stakes. A lot is on the line. Let's start with sort of a throwback to the last video. I told you in the last video that it's super important to realize that there's an abundance of people, beautiful women, rich and powerful people that can help you move forward. So you sort of try to go into the conversation with that in mind. If you mess up, it's not the end of the world. You should always have that, at the forefront of your mind. I'm not trying to get you to mess up, and you're not trying to mess up, but heaven forbid, if it did happen, you won't die. It's just another learning experience. But that's one thing that you sort of keep in mind. But that's easy for me to say. Like, if I put you in a situation, now all of that stuff sort of goes out the window. So you need to know how to handle it without me telling you, have the abundance mentality, because that doesn't really help, does it? In the heat of the moment, and you need to come up with something, and you want to know, like, how do I position myself correctly? Well, sure, you can think there's abundance mentality, but that doesn't really, we need specifics. So, number one, do not, for the love of God, do not act as a fanboy. Do not fawn over him or her. If it's a stunningly beautiful woman, don't start saying the cringy shit, saying, "Oh, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and you're such a queen, and I would take such good care of you, baby." Holy shit, man. Come on now. But what happens, and this is obvious, right? Because, we've all seen the movies and we've all seen the videos of people doing exactly this, and it's so cringe. Like, you have these, the cringe, like your balls sort of retract into your body, like, oh my God. But what really happens, especially in like networking meetings or when people meet rich, powerful, influential figures, they sort of devolve into that. Where if you're really, let's say you're really a big fan of an actor or someone that you admire, and you finally meet them, there's some part of you that wants to do that, wants to say, "Oh, I know all your stuff. I've seen all your videos. You're amazing. You're so great. Like, I'm so happy meeting you." Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with saying that you're a fan. I probably wouldn't say you're a fan, but there's nothing inherently wrong with saying, "Hey, I've seen a lot of your stuff," or "I know a lot of your accomplishments." That's all fine. Where you sort of miss the boat, where things sort of go awry, is when people start devolving into fanboy behavior. And that is really, it's repulsive for a simple reason. You're groveling. You're sort of putting yourself on a lower plane almost. You're sort of looking up to them. So please, 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 I'm so enamored with you. I'm so impressed by you as a human being that I feel I need to grovel. And it's embarrassing. Don't do it. Because what happens is you lose all respect from the person that you're talking to. So please don't do that. Make sure that you don't devolve into fanboy territory. Now, when I say that, I want to make sort of a caveat because my second point is almost the opposite of this. When I say don't be a fanboy, some people take that and then conclude, oh, so what I should do is just be aloof, be, not impressed at all by this person, almost be dismissive. And that is the exact wrong thing to conclude from all this. I don't want you to do that. Like if you're talking, let's say Tate. You meet Andrew Tate, right? And I don't know the setting. Let's say in a bar, coffee shop, whatever. Like if you're a fan and if you want to make a connection, like I said, you don't want to grovel, but you don't want to like dismiss him completely because this is a powerful, influential man. It's the same with a 10. Like if you meet a stunningly beautiful woman, like you don't want to sort of dismiss her or almost like be pretend like she's not beautiful. She knows, and Tate knows as well. Usually these people know that they have some importance. They have some gravitas in the world, right? It's not like these people are walking around thinking are completely clueless about their influence. We, in general, we know. And one of the best sort of gifts that you can give, one of the best ways of building the connection is to actually give them credit and listen to what they have to say. Especially these days, paying attention and actually listening to someone with rapt attention, like you're completely with that person and them alone. There's nothing else in the world. Making strong eye contact, listening, actually hearing what they have to say. And if they mention that, something about their accomplishments, you can say, "Oh, that's very impressive. That's amazing." That's not fanboy-ish behavior. That's just you being a normal human being. And if they say something of note, if they name drop, if they mention something that they've accomplished and it is impressive, you can say it's impressive. Obviously, that's normal human behavior. We want to do that. Normal people do that amongst each other, right? If your friend had accomplished something special, like if you won a race or something, you could say that's incredible. Congratulations, that's amazing. If you do this, you are making it clear that you understand the power dynamic here. Like you're not talking down to them. You're not also not talking sort of from a lower position to them, but you're talking from an equal position. Like we're both human beings. Yes, this person may be much richer, much more connected, much more influential, much more accomplished, much more beautiful. Like yes, that's all clear. That's all there. It's all on the table. Everyone knows this. But that doesn't mean that you have to treat them like a celebrity. That's like almost a cliche, right? If you treat them like a celebrity, they'll treat you as a fan. You want to treat them as a normal human being. Please do that. Tristan Tate, can't remember when he said it, must be in a podcast, but he said something like, when you're having new experiences, let's say you get invited to a private plane, or you're on a yacht, or you're talking to someone that is very influential, you want to act like you belong there, like you belong in the room. You don't want to walk around like some tourist, like some cringy dude, filming everything. It's like, oh, this is amazing. It's my first time in a private jet. Oh, this yacht. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. Like, that's cringe. You want to act like you belong in the room because you do. You're a human being. You belong in the room. You're absolutely fine. You need to be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable being there with someone. Because if we're actually having a conversation and I'm listening to you and I'm paying attention, there's a real connection being built here. It's what happens between human beings when you're actually in rapport, which we're going to talk about more later on. But when I say rapport, it means that we're on the same wavelength. There's a connection here being built. And you can do this with any person. You can do it with a beautiful woman, you can do it with a rich man, you can do it with anyone. If you actually pay attention, act like you belong in the room, have some dignity, have your bearing, you can build this connection with anyone, and it's extremely powerful. I was in Dubai, and we were visiting an art gallery. Now, you have to know, I'm not a big art guy. I think most modern art is absolutely hideous and disgusting, and there's very little mastery going on. But in this case, it was a beautiful gallery. some beautiful pieces there. And the way the guy set it up that owns it, he has this art everywhere. And then he has supercars as well in the gallery. And I don't think they're for sale. Like they're sort of there to up the image of the gallery. And it really worked. Like there's a Lamborghini there, there's a beautiful Ferrari there. There's also a Bugatti there. And these are all his cars, right? So we got a chance to talk to the owner of the art gallery. And he's sort of making the rounds like you do in network meetings. And I was shooting the shit with, I believe, with Tristan. And I see him making the rounds. And so I excuse myself and I go over to the art gallery owner, because this is a, successful, influential guy, has more money than I have. Maybe he's, a centimillionaire, I don't know, but he's doing very well for himself. And this is a situation that, like for many normal human beings, this is like a high stakes thing. And the guy is having fun. It's his gallery. It's his moment. Like it's his home turf, right? So I walk up to him and we start making some small talk. I think I said something about a piece of art, saying that it was stunning, absolutely beautiful, asking him like who makes these and how does the distribution go and how many of these do you sell? And at a certain point, he mentions that he has a son. And we were standing next to the Lamborghini, I believe. And I said, do you drive these out? Out of the gallery? And he said, yeah, well, every once in a while. So do you, like, when the kids go to school, right? Do you, like, drop them off in the Lambo? And his eyes lit up because of two reasons. One, the guy is a father. Usually, fathers like their kids. If, that's the way it should go, right? But I'm talking about something that's near and dear to him. But also, I picked it up out of the conversation because I was actually listening. It was sort of a throwaway comment. He mentioned his son in a very different context. And he had the son was young still, I think elementary school. But I picked it up because I was actually listening. And so two things happened. One, he knows that I'm actually listening to what he's saying. I'm paying attention, which is super, super, super important. One of the biggest gifts you can give to someone is to actually pay attention to what they're saying and make it clear that you're paying attention by picking it up out of the conversation and then getting back to it. We'll be going into listening as well in next installments, but super important. And his eyes light up and he says, yeah, well, my son, like we have, I don't know, he had like 20 cars or something, like insane, like, and all like supercars, right? Yeah, my son he says, well, today I want to go with the Bugatti, and then I drive him to school in the Bugatti. And at this moment, at this point, the connection was formed, and you sort of stand out from the crowd because you're not there fawning over him and trying to, pick his brain and get your fangs into him. So maybe we can do business later on. That's not a thing, man. If you're talking to a rich, influential, powerful guy, trust me, we get like these requests all the time from people. Everyone wants your money. Everyone wants your connections. Everyone wants something of you. That's the way it works. That's just a thing these days. Everyone wants something of you. So you sort of stand out by actually listening to someone and not leading with whatever you want out of the conversation. Whatever you want, that can come later. You don't have to lead with that. Just make a genuine connection with a person. And then from there on out, maybe you can do business later on. Like in this case, there's not really anything that came out of the conversation where I made money. But I did make the connection. And I can guarantee you that if I meet him again, or when we talk on, I don't know, Instagram or wherever I have his socials, he knows who I am because I stood out. It's almost as if you're passing sort of a test again to see if you belong in the room. But we'll be going into that in the next installment of the Sales, Seduction, and Social Skills Academy.